Hello! Okay, this video is because you guys actually have asked for it. In fact, a lot of people have asked for this comparison test, and we decided instead of letting Karan loose and him wearing his tie again, because he likes doing that with his Honda City versus
I
Honda
literally
versus
have
Lotus.
one shirt.
Yeah, I mean, those are nice videos though, to be
Thank
honest. Instead of us doing it that way, we'd do a little bit of a different format. We'd sit down and do a little bit of a talkative comparison between the Exter and its rivals. Now, when I mean rival, I mean Tata Punch, because the Citroen C3 exists, but it's a little bit of a vague rival. But we'll talk about it briefly in the video. For now, this is all about Hyundai Exter, which I think is great, and the Tata Punch, which he thinks is great. We are actually both of us like both the cars. But for this video, I'm pro Exter. He's pro Punch.
So let's start by talking about this segment that the Punch and the Exter sits in. It's like that micro SUV segment. So I personally like this segment. It makes a lot of sense for a lot of people who want a rugged car but don't want a big car, right? And that's a lot of people. Or can't afford a big car.
That's the main thing, because small compact SUV, subcompact in this term means sub 4 meter SUVs, have become really expensive. I mean, look at the Nexon, top of the line is some 17 lakhs.
Yeah.
The Venue is expensive, the Sonnet is expensive. This sort of helps because there are people who want or who have a very fixed 10 lakh rupee budget, and these two cars fit straight into that 10 lakh rupee category with still offering a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But the engines are not super great. So you don't get turbos, you don't get DCD gearboxes, stuff like that, but you still get a very reliable, sensible package. Sensible being key and affordable.
And of course rugged as well. The main advantage of these two over their hatchback counterparts is the fact that you get more ground clearance and a little bit more ruggedness.
A responsive engine is fun to drive on the highways or steep hills. Sustain this fun of driving with a fully synthetic and BS6 ready engine oil, like the Castrol Magnetec SUV. An engine oil with the latest API specs, specifically made for heavy load protection and non-stop SUV protection from every start.
Let's move on to price.
Just before that, a lot of people are going to say this is not a SUV segment at all. But look, SUV, as I've said a million, billion, trillion, gazillion, bazillion times, is a body style. It has nothing to do with ground clearance, wheel size, four-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. It makes no difference. It's a body style. So a four-door coupe is still a coupe because it's a swooping tail, sort of tailgate or whatever.
Yeah.
A body, a micro SUV is still an SUV because it's that. It's all straight lines.
That three box
And
two box design.
the Exter and the Punch are both very similar in terms of design.
No.
They are. Look at the fronts. The way the headlight and daytime running light is set up, similar. The way the sort of tail lights are set up, sort of squarish, similar.
Not really.
They're both flattish, similar. They're not like swoopy, curvy,
Yeah, that's true.
similar. So they're actually very similar in terms of design, and they're both good, decent looking cars.
I think the Exter is a little more sort of funky and modern. The Punch, even though when it came out it was funky and modern, I think it's a little more restrained compared to the Exter. But honestly, in terms of overall design, I tend to prefer the Punch, mainly because the Exter's wheels look
Very small.
tiny, and it just looks very like squatted down.
So both are 15.
Yeah.
The Punch has slightly larger tire, I believe.
Yeah.
But again, remember, this is, now you guys will love this statement, these are jacked up small hatchbacks
Yeah.
at the end of
Yeah,
it. They're the same platform as a small hatchback. So you can't expect to have a big 17-inch wheel with like a 245 section tire.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. The platform just doesn't allow it. So these are urban little runabouts. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Fiat Panda from back in the day. We never got it here in India.
Oh, yeah.
But that's like the original OG,
Yeah.
like micro SUV sort of
Yeah.
cross hatchback sort of thing. Okay, let's talk about prices now.
Okay, so both the cars start at roughly 6 lakhs and they both end up at 10.10 lakhs. So they are almost identical in terms of pricing. Both have only petrols and CNG and AMTs as the automatic option, and of course you have manual. So they are very similar in their configuration.
Both are 1.2s.
Both are 1.2s as well.
Both are sort of similar in terms of horsepower. Funnily, the Punch has more power and more torque outputs and feels slow.
Yeah, it does feel, the Punch does feel slow, and it's a lot more gruff. The engine is a lot more gruff. But what I really like about the Punch's driving experience is the ride quality. That's fantastic.
Okay, so let's do this. If you're giving points to both, price-wise, I think both are the same. The
Yeah.
looks are sort of subjective. I prefer the way the Exter looks. He prefers the way the Punch looks. And not for this video, even generally outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Punch is a great-looking car. Let's not sort of question that. But I prefer the way the Exter has small details everywhere that are important, like that little H thing in the daytime running light,
I
in the tail
love
light.
that. Yeah.
Nice stuff. Also, engine definitely. I mean, even though it's a small 1.2 80 something horsepower engine, 115 newton meters to torque or something like that, the Exter still feels sort of very typically Hyundai. So it doesn't feel quick, but it doesn't feel slow.
Yeah.
The Punch feels slow, like genuinely feels underpowered.
And the good thing is, so you need to rag them both out a bit to get that power out.
Punch
and
a
the good
lot
thing
more.
is, yeah, the Punch a lot more, and the Punch starts to get gruffer and gruffer as you go up. So in the powertrain department, I would
Exter.
give the points to the Exter. It's
But-
just smoother, creamier.
But for the ride quality and handling, I think that's a no-brainer.
No brainer. The Punch, I think it's been the reason it sort of broke into the space was because of the ride quality. I mean, pretty much every Tata has had great ride quality, but this one it's really good. We didn't expect it to have that,
Yeah. Also,
but it's got really good ride.
because of that ride quality, it feels slightly better built
Yeah,
in terms of like solidarity on like bad roads.
yeah.
In terms of quality, though, I think again they're both very similarly comparable. Again, I think the Exter has the slightly little bits and pieces that are better.
I just prefer the quality of lower end Hyundais compared to any other lower end car because they do the buttons right, they do the screens right, they do the just the basic stuff is always right on an affordable. I was going to say cheap, but an affordable Hyundai.
Let's talk about what people actually care about in this segment, because honestly, that is like interior spec and features and stuff like that. Look, we can talk about ride and handling all day long. At the end of the day, what does matter is screens, connectivity, sunroof, stuff like that.
Both have sunroofs.
Mm.
I prefer the screen on the Exter. The
Yes.
Punch's screen is the old gen Tata screen, and it's just slow and
Glitchy, little bit, slightly glitchy sometimes.
strangely enough, it's less glitchy than the new ones, but it's still a bit. It's not my favorite screen. Speakers on the Punch are
They're always
way better.
Yeah.
Tata,
So
does speakers well.
Always,
Yeah.
always. I mean, I remember my Bolt having great speakers.
Yeah.
Safari has some fantastic speakers.
Yeah.
The Nexon, the new Nexon has some killer
Yeah.
speakers. That's something that they just do better. That's, I believe, a JBL thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's it's one of those
Yeah.
group things. But I think Hyundai uses their own proprietary or like their own internal stuff. But again, they're both equally comfortable. They're both equally spacious in terms of width as well. I mean, they're both again very, very similar in terms of dimensions. Dude, listen, this is literally like a toss a coin and decide who wins.
I feel it's also down to buying preference a lot because a lot of people sort of shy away from buying a Tata versus it's very easy to buy a Hyundai. It's very easy to recommend a Hyundai as well.
This is especially true in the sub 10 lakh rupee category.
Yeah,
But the sales figures say otherwise.
exactly.
Tata last month sold 14,500 punches, whereas Hyundai in only its second month sold 7,000. But I believe Hyundai has a crunch in terms of production, and the waiting period is as far as 1 year for some variants. So when they sort that out, I think Hyundai will sort of get the numbers up. And as I've said in my review video, I think the Exter is going to be Hyundai's highest selling car in India, period.
I think it has the potential for sure, and like we said earlier, this segment is
Booming.
It just makes perfect sense. So, yeah, could be.
Look, this segment is also booming because there's no Maruti, there is no Kia, there are no other players, there are no other major
Yeah.
players here. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
Tata and Hyundai having a little bit of fun right now. Okay, so straight up comparison between these two. Let's just do a final tally of. In terms of features, I think both of them are very, very similar.
Neck and neck, yeah.
Yeah.
Ride and handling goes to the Punch, while
engine
powertrain
goes
goes
to
to
this
the Exter.
Price-wise, this is both are the same. In fact, there are no cool seats on the Exter, are there?
No, Punch also doesn't have.
Huh. So if that was in, then I would have probably swung it to the Exter.
But none of
But
them
then, but then I just love cool seats as a feature.
have. So someone in the PowerDrift comments has recognized this,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he keeps telling me.
But okay, so I think it's a dead heat if you actually compare the two. It's just a matter of
Right.
preference.
Really?
I mean,
Wait,
in terms of the
looks-
way it looks, they are sort of
Engine, ride and handling.
feature
Uh,
same,
Feature, same.
price are the same.
Price same.
So what really differentiates them? Nothing. I mean, they're literally that close. They're literally like two
So
brothers
this
from the
video
same
was
mother.
completely pointless.
No, it comes down to this. It comes down to what you prefer as a person. It comes down to your preference of brand, to be very honest. And also comes down to stuff like, is there a service center nearby? Is there a dealership nearby? Is your neighbor buying, sort of have good relationships or sort of good experiences with, the car? Does your dad okay the product, or does your parent, or does your wife like Hyundai more, or like Tata
That's
more?
true.
Stuff like that. So it's going to come down to stuff like this between these two. I mean, doing a comparison video, like a full-fledged comparison video outside, us driving these cars, is sort of pointless because they're really so similar.
And I think that's a sign of good things for the segment. If there are two products that are selling highly and that are neck and neck in terms of what they offer, I think it's great for us as consumers.
Okay, so tell us what you would prefer between these two. Both of these are very, very popular cars. And if you want us to do more content around these two cars, tell us in the comment section below. But for now,
Wait, I'll tell you how I would put it. If I lived in a place where there were bad roads or I was in a rural area, Punch. If I lived in a city, Exter for me.
so should we say that the Exter is a better urban car then? I don't think so, right?
That's what I would feel. That's what I feel.
The other thing is, there is an update coming on the Punch very, very soon. And there is an EV version coming on the Punch
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. Exter EV is still a little while away. And of course, Exter updates will be 2-3 years from now. So, tell us which one you prefer, the Hyundai or the Tata. It's pretty much neck and neck from us. We are really confused about these two. We literally flip a coin because they're both that good as compared to the other.
Cool. Thank you for watching.